I never thought I'd end up at war with my HOA over a couple of yard signs. But then again, I'd never lived in a neighborhood quite like this. It started innocently enough. I put a small sign in my front yard that read, "Drive like your kids live here." Given the way some people tore through our cul-de-sac, I thought it was a reasonable reminder. A week later, I added another one for good measure. Support local teachers. Nothing political, nothing profane, just a couple of positive, simple messages. But the HOA didn't see it that way. One morning, both signs were gone. At first, I assumed it was a prank until I found a printed letter in my mailbox from the HOA board. Your signage is in violation of HOA guidelines restricting unauthorized messaging in common view. Please refrain from posting unapproved materials. Seriously? I double-checked the community guidelines. Nowhere did it ban all signs. Political signs were restricted during off-election seasons, but mine weren't political, nor were they commercial, just community-oriented reminders. So I politely emailed the HOA asking for clarification. They replied with a copy-paste response. Signs must be pre-approved to maintain visual harmony. Visual harmony? This wasn't a gated mansion community. It was a modest suburban street with 5 different shades of beige. And the neighbor across the street had 3 gnome statues and a pink flamingo in her garden. I was mad, but not reckless. So instead of putting the signs back up, I got creative. I bought a portable projector. At night, using a discreet setup in my upstairs window, I began projecting large illuminated messages onto the front of my own garage door. Messages like, "Slow down, kids at play," HOA, remove my signs, this is my driveway. Freedom of expression lives here. It was completely silent, non-destructive, temporary, and 100% on my property. The best part? It wasn't technically a sign. The HOA's next meeting was the following Thursday. I showed up early, and the room was already buzzing. Janice, the board president, cut straight to the point. "We've had complaints about your light messages." I smiled. "Is that a violation of the signage rules?" She blinked. "Well, it's certainly not in the spirit of the community aesthetic." I pulled out the bylaws. The guidelines mention yard signs, permanent displays, and commercial banners. Nothing about non-invasive light projections on private property. Murmurs rippled through the room. Another board member, Greg, piped up. "Technically, he's right. We'd need to draft a new clause to address that." Janice scowled but said nothing. Someone in the back even clapped quietly. After that, the projector became a bit of a neighborhood attraction. Neighbors would walk by just to see what message I was displaying. I even let a couple of kids in the neighborhood help design one that said, "Be kind, smile more." The HOA eventually stopped fighting it. Maybe they realized they had bigger things to worry about. Or maybe they knew they couldn't win this one. Either way, I made my point. Brightly, clearly, and entirely within my rights. And that visual harmony they were so worried about? Turns out, the neighborhood felt a whole lot more unified when someone finally stood up and reminded them that a little light can go a long way.